Our guest tonight is none other than the best friend of the show, Jenna Tonelli, the Equalizer, the Local W, New York Post, New York Magazine, etc., etc., etc. Welcome to the show, Jenna Tonelli.
Oh,
Hey!
thank you so much for having me. Oh my gosh, but look at that bio. No, I'm kidding. No, I appreciate. I mean, the most important thing I could ever be called is best friend of the show. So
Yay!
that is all I care about right now, and I'm very pleased to be here. Even though Gary gave me the boot the other week, I got kicked off for Hugh Menzies, but I understood
Yes,
that was an amazing show. So I get it. I get it.
it always works out. It always seems that when you're on the show, some news drops. And of
Yeah,
course, right?
I
So
know. It really happens.
it definitely worked out. And he was a good guest. Sorry I had to bump you for that. But
It's all right. It's all right. I get it. I get it. But yeah, now we got some stuff to talk about.
Yes, obviously the World Cup has been made us all crazy busy and we're all losing our minds. We're just getting it back. But I know your World Cup was pretty crazy. How did it go for you?
Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's definitely been a whirlwind. I was actually in Italy for a lot of the group stage, the opening match and all that. So
Ooh.
I was able to kind of experience watching the World Cup while in Europe. And actually in
Yeah.
2019, I was in Italy for much of the World Cup. So I got to kind of see what it was like this year. But this year was actually really bad. So I mean, we don't have to like get into all the nitty gritty, but in
Yeah.
2019, the women's World Cup rights were sold as a package with the men's World Cup rights. So you
Okay.
could watch it online, or so not online, you could watch it on TV in Italy. This year
Yeah.
was the first year they were not packaged together. So countries had to bid on the rights for the Women's World Cup separately.
Hmm.
And many countries in Europe, Italy included, like were given FIFA the runaround because they didn't want to pony up the what it's
Yeah.
worth, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So they ended up striking a deal where all you could watch was the opening New Zealand game and only Italy group stage matches, and then you could watch all of the knockout round games. So I couldn't watch any group stage match that the
Yeah.
US played in. So I was
So,
Wow.
watching like replays online.
oh,
Yeah.
Wow.
So that
kind of
was
sucks.
really annoying. But so yeah, that I mean, and media coverage of the World Cup in Italy was also bleak. I'm actually like working on a piece right now about this for Equalizers.
Yeah.
I will not get into it too much here. So I did some fun stuff though. I mean, as you mentioned, I had the opportunity to get some features in the New York Post. Amazing opportunity. I'm so grateful for that. I did a piece on Lynn. I did an amazing piece on Sinead's comeback, which is honestly like the piece I'm most proud of, and getting the opportunity to kind of like hear her talk about her story and making it to a World Cup. Oh my gosh. So that will be pinned forever on my Twitter if anyone hasn't seen it. And then the funniest thing, I mean, not funny, but most random thing is that I did a radio appearance for BBC Scotland to talk about the US, when they got knocked out, they wanted to have someone on. I was so grateful that they reached out to me, but I had to like call in at 12:30 a.m. and so I was zonked. Oh my gosh. So that was an experience. And I got to go on the Spotify podcast Counterpress, which is hosted by Flo Lloyd Hughes, sister of Theo. So that was a pleasure to go on there, even though we had to talk about the US losing. And then I did an interview with Abby Wambach for All for 11. So I was just like, bing, 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 but it was a lot of fun.
My God, you have had quite a month and you're going international. Scotland? Seriously? That's awesome.
It was
But
fun. It was fun.
yeah, but for real, I'm so happy for everything that you're doing. I'm happy for you. All the work is so great. All your work is so enjoyable. You and your wife are doing big things in the soccer world, which is amazing. Just keep doing what you guys are doing.
Thank you. Yeah, Adriana's the best.
Yeah, call-in shows are fun because just you had to call in on your phone, so you sound terrible, and it's just like it picks up all the background noise. So I can't get my cats off when I do those things. Yeah, it's just a mess. But let's just talk about the World Cup. Obviously, it's over. Just final thoughts on the tournament, U.S. or otherwise. Just anything that like sticks out to you, any moment, game, anything. Go for it, Jenna.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest, I always just had this like bad nagging feeling going into this World Cup that the US was not that they would go out when they went out, but I didn't
Yeah.
I just had a feeling it wasn't going to be the 3P. I don't know like what that was about in
Yeah.
my bones. But either way, I think having a brand new winner is great for the sport. I really
Yeah.
do think it's great for the sport. Of course, some of the issues with Spain's success are complicated. know, we'll talk about some of the things going on with Spain a little bit later. But ultimately, I think what this World Cup showed is that around the world, there is an appetite for women's soccer, and it's time for FIFA and the media and all these federations around the world to step it up and invest in their women's programs, because 2 million in attendance at that World Cup. I mean, for me, that's I think like the biggest moment, other than Sam Kerr's goal against England. That was just amazing. Oh my God, what a moment. I wish I was there.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, let's start with the positives like you were talking about. Yeah. About 2 million people went to the World Cup. We were breaking records in viewership where people by the millions were watching all these games, not just the final game. That's positive. We had a lot of new countries into this World Cup, many new countries, also scoring their first goal for their country. That was amazing to see as well. Like you said, we have a brand new winner this time, which is Spain. Spain has only been in the World Cup 3 times, and after 3 times, they won the World Cup, which is amazing. And I always try to be positive on this show, but I feel like we have to talk about this thing that's happening in Spain. How Rubiales and Dilba are tarnishing pretty much the win of the players, because this win was the players' success. I believe this is the players' World Cup. I don't want to think that it was that the coaching staff or anyone. It was the players that put their heart out there. And Spain deserved the win because they played better. But I think Spain had to win the World Cup so the world could see the type of people that are running the federation. Rubiales grabbing his junk next to the queen and her daughter, disgusting. Rubiales kissing a player, Jenny Hermoso, on the biggest stage and in the biggest day of her career. It's not okay. It's not professional. Disgusting. Rubiales lifting the player on his shoulders, also not professional. Rubiales asked Hermoso to be next to him for his apology video and asked her family after she declined if she could be in the video. Like, again, disgusting. I want to stay hopeful that something will be done, but at the same time, I'm fearful that they're not going to do anything. They're just going to give him like a slap on the wrist and call it a day. And according to Infantino, women just have to push the doors to get what they want. I mean, this World Cup is proof that people want to see women play. It's time for women to get the investment they deserve. And we're pushing the doors, Infantino. Now do something.
I'm clapping. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yes, it's like I like you got to speak to the manager when I'm the manager kind of thing when it came to Infantino.
You know that
right?
meme from that show with it's the guy in the hot dog suit? We're all trying to find the guy who did this. That's it.
Exactly it. That was going to be my next comment. That's exactly it. It's so frustrating, and obviously, to your point, Ruby. For these women to fight their entire career to create a lane for themselves, to get out from underneath the shadow of the men, to win a World Cup, which is amazing, to have that overshadowed again, to bring it back to what men do it's disgusting and it's frustrating. And yeah, again, I hope we go past that. And a lot of the comments online, I try to stay away from comment sections online, but it just seemed like the same thing that goes back to if you talk about like Richie Burke or you talk about Paul Riley. It's well, they won a championship, so the ends always justify the means, right? That's kind of the justification that was given online for a lot of these actions. When obviously that's not the case, and there's no one way to do something, and yeah, the ends never always justify the means to get there.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and I do want to get back to what you said, Jenna, about, obviously the growth of the sport, all that. That was the big thing kind of take away from all of the African nations that made it into the knockout round. And it was, if we want to talk about the overall things about the tournament, as you mentioned, 2 million fans attended the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. That's up more than 600,000 on the previous record. 10 of the 64 matches attracted crowds of the 45,000 plus. The final match drew 12 million viewers on BBC One, making it the most watched women's soccer match in UK history, and the second most watched event for BBC this year, behind the inauguration of King Charles III. Australia's semifinal loss to England had an average TV audience of 7.2 million, and it peaked out at 11.15 million. Australia's most watched broadcast ever since the figures were recorded. The screen share in Spain for the final was peaked at 71%. This whole tournament was an overwhelming success. And I just echo everything you both have said. It's past due for investing in women's soccer. There's no more excuses at this point. As Ms. Purse says, you're stupid if you don't. The level of soccer in this tournament was so good. And with the expanded field, there wasn't a single team in that tournament that didn't deserve to be there. Shout out to all the underdogs. Obviously, South Korea knocking out Germany was something to behold. A player that's 16 years old at going to school in Pingree, New Jersey, keeping Germany out of the knockout round is unthinkable. We had so many of those stories this World Cup. It was amazing.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I spent a lot of time looking at Italy's team, and they had a 16-year-old on their squad, and it's just like a super young team, and just kind of seeing also just some of the future players, the future stars of some of these squads. I mean, it's just incredible. Like, we got a taste of that in what I think was one of the most competitive World Cups we've seen in our, adult lifetimes. I can't really remember too much of the details from when I was a kid in the 90s. I mean, I'm 23. I wasn't born then. But yeah, absolutely. It was just so crazy that you could not predict what would happen next. And honestly, I loved it. And the Spain-England final was so fun to watch. Oh my gosh,
So good.
what an entertaining final. The score might have only been 1-0, but it was really entertaining.
It really was. I want to mention the MVP of this game, the post. Like, hello, the post was like making it like an appearance almost every game, even at the final. England couldn't get that goal because of the post.
Mm-hmm.
But Mary Earps in that penalty save.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff.
Let's talk about the coverage of the World Cup. I'm curious your thoughts on just the overall coverage. I know you said you were in Italy, but what are your thoughts, Jen, on this coverage?
Yeah, I mean, my Italian, obviously I was watching it in Italian, which was good for me because interestingly enough, my vocabulary is the strongest talking about soccer because of my wife, because she only speaks Italian. I joke when she's mad at me or watching soccer. So, so it was a really good opportunity for me to try to brush up on it, which I appreciated. But, they didn't do a ton in terms of pre-match, post-match, commentary. They barely had a halftime show. So it definitely left something to be desired. And, like I said, and a little bit previously, the media coverage outside of the actual broadcast was equally grim. They actually, their highest scoring striker, Girelli, obviously they interviewed her on TV a few times and they misspelled her name. Imagine it's like misspelling. I'm trying to think of it's like misspelling Alex Morgan. It's like that's one of your stars of your team, and you have the main news broadcast of the nation misspelling her name. They put Gibella instead of Girelli. It's not even remotely close. Just stuff like that. They barely made the newspapers. They barely made that. It was just frustrating to see a little bit. So,
yeah. on that misspelling, I don't know if you saw, but today someone posted that Katie Mewis instead of Christy Mewis gained more followers than Alex Morgan.
My buddy Molly over at Adweek, she messaged me about it too, and I was like, "What?" The third Mewis sister, Katie Mewis.
Katie Mewis, somewhere out there doing her thing too. But for real, I just want to say thank God that I had the option to watch it on Peacock. And I know Spanish, so I was able to understand. And I love Andres Cantor on the broadcast. He's so amazing. And, they go all out with their goal. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, again, the viewership, it was incredible. A lot of records. That's great to see. What about you, Gary?
Yeah, I echo your sentiment. Shout out to Peacock and Telemundo. Like, I didn't have to listen to a single Fox broadcast throughout the entire tournament. There's an obvious double edged sword. We're all asking for more outlets to pick up women's soccer, but when they do, it's like somebody who's never followed the
Hmm.
sport, never
Yeah.
seen the sport. They mess up the names, they mess up, everything. And it was rough, like seeing some of the commentary online because like everybody had a World Cup show, and yeah, you can just tell that they've never covered or watched the sport. Which I get it, but if I see one more like who's the next coach have list that has Jill Ellis on it, I'm gonna go crazy.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, once I got back to the States, I did watch the Fox broadcast. I thought the game calls were fine. Didn't have a ton of issues with those, but during those pre, post, and halftime shows,
Yeah.
that was on mute for me, I have to say.
You know how I love fan polls? I
Oh
love
yes.
them.
We know.
So the Athletic did a fan poll of the World Cup and fans of what they thought about the World Cup, and I'm curious your thoughts on their findings of the results. So, who do you think should replace Vlaco and Donoski? 38% said Wagman, 27% said Laura Harvey, 7.8 Lauren Donaldson, Emma Hayes got 2.7, Tony Gustafson 1.5, and then other / no name given got 21%. Any thoughts on just that list?
I mean, that tracks with what I would expect public opinion to say. I mean, I think
Mhm.
obviously Serena Wegman is like the coach of the moment. What she's been able to do in her career is incredible. So it's no surprise that fans would want to see her. I think Laura Harvey, who was kind of like the runner up, so to speak, when Vlatko got the job, is also makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you know what? My personal opinion is it will be none of those people. But I don't know
Yeah.
who. I just don't. I think it's going to be somebody that we're all like, oh, I don't know. That's just kind of my gut feeling.
What about you, Ruby?
What was the guy, former coach from Barcelona? Luis
Oh, that's right.
Cortez.
There was a
Yeah,
little bit of chatter about that on Twitter that he might be interested.
Former
yeah,
Barcelona coach?
I forget
Yes.
his name.
Yeah, same. That's interesting because honestly, whoever replaces my hope, my wish is to have someone who has a distinct style and wants to like get that style right from the top to the bottom, from the youth leagues up. I want to see the U.S. play a distinct style that's unique to us. We can say, okay, that is U.S. soccer, because what we're doing now is kind of just playing hopeful balls in and just trying to outrun and out jump teams.
yeah.
But I want someone
Mhm.
who's got their own distinct style. All right. So, do the U.S. players need to play abroad to best challenge themselves? 45% said no, and 54% said yes. What do you think, Jenna?
Okay, I have like a bit of a hot take on this question. I'm going to say no because I think that we need more a more diverse selection of coaches in the NWSL. I don't know if it's necessarily about the league per se that is the difference, but I think a lot of it has to do with the coaching. Like I'm looking at what Juan Carlos Amoros, a Spanish coach, has done with Gotham, and it's unlike anything that we've seen from any other team. I mean, I think a lot of the coaching styles, not that they're like so similar, because obviously like the teams at NWSL all have their unique style, but it's so much physicality and kick and run kind of stuff. And I think that what like Juan has been able to do for Gotham is just like a testament to what like a diverse coaching staff could like bring to this league. So for me, it's less about the league and more about the coaching in the league.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything that Jenna said, yes. Exactly what I was thinking. No, they don't have to go abroad to be better or to, be in a better position at the next World Cup or the Olympics. I think the talent is here. And like Jenna says, yeah, it's all about the coach. Haven't we seen that? What happened at this World Cup with Blatko? It's all about the coach.
Yeah, the coach and the investment, the facilities, the roster depth, and obviously the opportunities have to grow here
Yeah.
as well. And with the Super League coming again, with the USLW League, I don't think they have to, but it also depends on the player themselves.
Yeah.
Some players just need to challenge themselves by going to a new environment, learning a new style, and sometimes the style here, like we'll take a player like Jean, who played overseas but didn't quite get the style, comes over here and she's doing pretty well. right?
Oh my
And some
gosh, she's like
players,
a center back like superstar now.
Yeah.
right? And then you take a player like Viens, who's playing here, didn't quite get the style. She goes over to Europe and she's killing it.
Oh, and
Which we
Serie
got to.
A, welcome to Italy.
I know. So it depends on the coaches, it depends on the structure, and it also depends on the player itself. So I agree with
Yes,
everything.
very
All
nuanced,
right.
and I think that's
Yes.
right.
Should the NWSL be concerned about its global standing after this World Cup? 30% said no and 69% said yes.
First of all, nice.
Thoughts?
Second of all right, everybody. Like, let's like bring it down a little bit. I think like
Yeah.
obviously like our everyone's first reaction is like, oh, like, you know, like US #1, we can't be anything but #1. But no, I'm not concerned about their global standing. I mean, in terms of like it's like physical FIFA ranking, will they drop? Maybe by a spot or two, but like, does that really matter right now? I don't think so. And I think, you know, there's just still so much talent coming through. And I think there's changes coming, you know, coaching changes. You know, I think, what did they eliminate Kate Margraff's position? So I think there's going to be a little bit more soul searching. And I just can't imagine that, you know, concern about the global standing. Will the US continue to be #1 in perpetuity? No, but I don't think it ever could. I don't think that's a realistic goal. I think things ebb and flow. That's just natural. So yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned personally, but that's an overall, I mean, that's nearly 70% said yes. So, well, it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting to see that many people say yes. I do not think so. I don't think it's a concern. We have a lot of great talent, a lot of young talent, and I feel like they were not used properly or to the best of their abilities in this World Cup. Like, we have so many players that could have done a lot more. I feel like we put a lot of pressure on Sophia Smith to be like the star, the savior of this World Cup, but honestly, it should not just be one player. It should be all the players working together for one goal. It looks like it didn't really happen in this World Cup, but I don't feel like we should be concerned about their standing right now. I know they're going to come back, and just look out for them in the Olympics. They're going to come back.
As far as the NWSL is concerned, the CBA changed everything. It's going to obviously grow the sport in a great way. Obviously, players are making more money. The protections are going to be better. So I think the NWSL is going to be fine. I think that, as we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, the investment is bringing in players from outside the league is getting better. And obviously, Gotham is leading the charge in that right now, which is very, very exciting. So I think they're totally fine. I think people are overreacting. Speaking of overreacting, I'm going to give my thoughts right away because the last one was, is the U.S. fallen behind other nations? 44% said no, 55% said yes. That's frustrating. That's silliness. I still say, I think Velasco got everything wrong. And I said this on the podcast. And one thing that's cool about having a podcast is you're always on the record. So you have to be consistent because you can always pull up something that says, well, you said this, a week ago, and now you're saying this. But I said a couple episodes ago, right before the World Cup was about to start, I was like, it is really odd to me that the coach, Vlatko, was flying around to NWSL stadiums a couple days before the roster drop, evaluating players. And for me, that was like a huge red flag, and like alarms were going off. I'm like, you've had this team for how long? You don't have a starting 11. You don't know who you're picking for this World Cup. What's going on here?
Yeah.
There's no
confidence.
reason for that. Yeah, there's no reason for that to happen. The talent pool is so deep. I still think we could fill 2 to 3 rosters that could compete at a World Cup. That's how much talent we have. I don't think we're falling behind. We got to invest more in the NWSL, invest more in the leagues, and I think the more opportunities we're going to have, we're going to start blowing up again.
Yeah, I think that's right. I don't think the US has fallen behind. I mean, I think part of it is, like you said, Vlatko clearly didn't get it right. And also other nations are catching up. And that's because of the work that the US has done with their program and with their talent. So this is what we wanted to see. Again, like I said before, I did not expect the US to win this World Cup. I thought we'd see them in the semifinals at least, or the final. But you see what's going on around the world. You saw Spain and England beat the US in those friendlies last year. So yeah, I mean, the US hasn't fallen behind. It's kind of like a chicken or an egg thing there. And yeah, Gary, I remember that you had said that about, Vlatko going around to the stadiums looking at the players, and it's like, what was he like the night before? Like, okay, Hatch or Thompson, Hatch, like, like those are things that you have to know. And it's, and then it's like, okay, so you bring Ashley Sanchez, who I think is one of the best midfielders in the NWSL. She plays 0 minutes. Kristen Ewis takes the best penalty kick of all time, but that was her only touch of the World Cup. It's just some of like the player decisions were absolutely baffling to me. I mean, Alex Morgan looked just totally out of her element, not playing the way that she can really play. And so I think, I mean, I'm just kind of word vomiting at this point, but all that to say that, Gary, I think you're spot on. The U.S. has not fallen behind. I think there's just a lot of wrong decisions kind of made during this tournament that can be easily corrected, and the talent pool goes on for days and days and days.
Yeah, like one thing I want to point to, like there's an obvious one I think is having Ertz playing as a center back, which is fine. I like Ertz as a center back. I think she's good. But if that was the idea, to put her as center back, why did you not play her in the lead up to the tournament as a center back? Why did you not have her club play her as a center back?
Right.
Why was that seem like a last minute haphazard decision when, it just like those little things I think show a big distrust in your roster and your decision making. So
yeah, I agree.
Any thoughts, Ruby?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like everyone's saying, he had no plan. Like he was procrastinating this whole tournament, even before the tournament. Like you say, like the night before, he was like, all right, I'm going to play this player. I'm going to pick this player and we're just going to roll with it. He wasn't expecting that LaBelle was not going to play because of the card accumulation. So Sonnet had to go in, kind of like, well, I guess we'll just put Sonnet. I mean, the good thing is that it worked out.
She's a natural center back. So you put your natural center back, although she was actually fantastic in the midfield.
Yeah.
But then you have Julie Ertz at center back. Now Sonnet's in the midfield. Yeah, it just seemed like totally discombobulated the whole time. Players were on managed minutes still because they, were being brought with their injuries. I mean, and look what happened at the Olympics with Ertz and Sam Ewis. I could rant about that. I'll stop myself.
All right, let's jump back over to the NWSL.
Yes.
And this is an interesting thing. The Challenge Cup, as we know it, is going away. The NWSL plans to abandon the Challenge Cup as a tournament in 2024, according to a report in the Equalizer. The league instead will stage a showcase between the winner of this year's NWSL Shield and the NWSL Championship, per the report. Okay, your thoughts on this development?
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is, don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. We'll miss you, Challenge Cup. But no, I think it makes sense. I think with the expansion coming, there's going to be more games. I mean, it makes sense. And, I know that there have been some questions about that prize money, but, I want to point out that that's not NWSL money. That was sponsored dollars that the UKG came in to raise that pool. And actually, I think I saw some players, and I don't remember who, so I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, tweet out okay, can someone sponsor the regular season prize pool, please, instead of the Challenge Cup? But it's true. And I think, it would be, there's obviously no guarantee that there would be that prize pool, even if Challenge Cup continued, but maybe a sponsor will step up to make the general prize pool bigger, or, maybe this Super Cup style game, which I actually think is a great way to start the season. It kind of it's almost like a teaser trailer or something. And, maybe we could put it towards that, or, perhaps, other investments in other places. But yeah, I think for now this makes sense, and maybe one day we could get back to having some sort of mid-season tournament like many of the leagues have. So yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of gonna miss it because it started during the pandemic, so it was really exciting to see sports back on TV. So that's what the Challenge Cup reminds me of, and the infamous glare. and the playground. So I'm gonna miss that. I guess a little nostalgic about the Challenge Cup. But I mean, it's understandable that it's gonna go away. Too many games. It's a lot for the players. Sometimes they have 3-game weeks. That's tough. I mean, they're also more prone to injuries, which we want to avoid. Want to avoid injuries as much as possible. One more thing, not related, but I just want to put it out there. Can they redesign the championship trophy? I don't like it.
Oh my
But anyway.
gosh. No. Like we could have a whole show about that because like it's the what? And I saw someone say if you can't drink out of it, it's not a good trophy.
Yeah.
It is true. 22 games is too short of a season. But I do understand throwing games in between. And its initial iteration, I thought was terrible. Having that preseason tournament, because it caused so many, correlations, not causations, but they had a lot of injuries real early on because players were not fit enough to play that many games that in a short period of time in that weather. It was rough. So I liked it in the middle of the season, but I would love for this thing to be replaced with some sort of Leagues Cup, maybe like the Mexican League against us, the USL
That'd be
Super
awesome.
League, the W League, make that like a US Open Cup kind of tournament. That would be more fun as well, however that works out. But yeah, getting over to Gotham, we have 6 games to go. Speaking of 22 games feels like too short. So how are we all feeling? Gotham is currently in third, 25 points. 1.56 points per match. 33 points was my theory that I came up with a couple years ago, and it still seems to be on point. We have 8 points to get there, and we have 6 games to do it in. The minimum results for Gotham would be 2 wins and 2 draws, or 1 win and 5 draws, which seems silly. The max points that Gotham can get is 43. And if we did our projected points per match, we would get 36.38. We're in. So just got to keep it going. 4 of the last 6 matches are at home, and 3 of the last 4 are going to be at home, which is awesome. 3 of those 6 are against top-tier opponents. And recent injuries aside, this deepest team in the league should have no problems completing a near miraculous turnaround from one of the worst seasons in league history to being in the hunt for the Shield and a top playoff spot. Your thoughts, Jenna?
I mean, the even if the season ended today with them in third place, like it's still such an incredible turnaround story. Like it's just like unbelievable to see what they've done, and I think with those 6 games left, it kind of stinks that they're all at home. Actually, or not all, but mostly because they actually have a better road record than home record. So hopefully we can kind of like turn the beat around on that, as I like to say. But I know we'll talk about Esther Gonzales later, but like, oh my gosh, could you pick like a better player to like help push this team into the playoffs? It's going to be such a boost, especially with Katie Stengel leaving. But I'm nervous. I mean, Midge and McCall coming off in the first half at the last game, like we don't really know the extent of those injuries yet. McCall, oh my God, what a season she has been having. Just so crucial in that midfield, scoring goals, directing play. We don't know the extent of Abby Smith's injury right now. I'm so nervous. I don't know. For me, she's actually been Gotham's best player. So just always keeping them in the games when they need to be kept in. She's a superstar. So yeah, I mean, I think, we still have we have Mandy McGlynn and Michelle Betos. I mean, come on, we still got good options back there. And like you always like to say, Gary, this bench is so deep. But yeah, I think they're gonna. I would confidently say they're making the playoffs, and I can confidently say I think they're still in the hunt for the Shield.
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to see Gotham struggle at home. If they can translate the success they've had on the road in their home games, they will be a force to be reckoned with. No doubt about that. And I'm optimistic as well. They can make it happen and show what they're truly capable of.
Yeah. Going back to the last game, seeing McCall, she was on crutches at the end of that game,
Yeah.
and then seeing Abby off on a cart. I talk about this on the main show, but my God, that field was awful.
Oh gosh!
If you go back and watch the replays of all the other games in the NWSL, and then look at that field, you're going to be appalled. It was totally chewed up. I guess that's when you have like 5 or 6 teams playing different sports on the same field, it gets like that. But I'm not saying that's what caused the injuries, because the other team had to play on that field too, but
it doesn't help.
It certainly does not help. And they're going to have the championship there, which is craziness. But yeah, I'm excited for these last 4 games. I'm excited to be home, hearing that crowd. I hope it's a big boost after the World Cup, because that last game against Casey, I think is going to be wild.
Remember that last game against Portland last year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. If it could even come close to half of those vibes, like we're in business.
Absolutely. Let's get over some positive Gotham news. Mary Wittenberg is on board. Your thoughts on this big news, Jenna?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I spoke with her for a piece that went on Equalizer when she was announced. You can read up, about her background there a little bit. But my just general initial thoughts are she's sincere, she's prepared, she knows the New York community, from her work with New York Roadrunners. And I think she's really ready to take Gotham to the next level. And I think she's the perfect person to really integrate this team into the New York, New Jersey community.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I've seen, Mary is already taking the initiative to make a difference. She's actively putting Gotham out there, whether it's reaching out to the media to raise Gotham's profile or getting feedback from fans. She's all up for it. Mary is doing everything she can to get things moving. And I admire that. I admire it. And it's something I fully support.
Mary is a big deal. I don't know if people understand how big of a deal this actually is. For Gotham to get her is incredible. She is an A-list CEO. So Mary is, again, essentially built the New York City Marathon into one of the largest day sport events in the world as her tenure as president and CEO of the New York Roadrunners. She has built a reputation for being one of the most responsible and driven CEOs in the industry. She's raised at least $25 million per year for charity each year she's been the CEO of the New York Roadrunners. I'm just going to focus on her expertise on building a ground campaign in New York to build the marathon. If she can't do it, nobody can.
Absolutely. And I think we've all three talked about how important it is to get Gotham on the ground. And I think she's gonna do it.
Yeah, I can't imagine she came cheap. So I know
money well spent.
Yeah, Gotham's really putting their money into this organization, and on the field, it's showing up. Hopefully, in the crowd, it will show up as well.
Yes.
And let's get to the big signing. I know our fans have been waiting for us to talk about this, but Gotham signs Esther Gonzales, a World Cup winner. Jenna, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, wow. I obviously, it's been kind of leaking, so to speak, for over the past couple of months. So, I wrote it up in Equalizer today, so you can get my full thoughts there. And we touched on it a little bit already here, but what a big signing. I mean, World Cup champion, bringing over a talented player from Europe. It's just incredible. And, again, I think this goes back to the coaching. I don't know if she's coming to the NWSL into Gotham if we don't have Juan Carlos Amoros as the coach. So, yeah, I can't wait to see her on the field and see what she can do to help this team through 2025.
And an option year. That's awesome.
And an option year.
Even better. But yeah, I mean, I think Gotham is doing big moves since the beginning of the year when we got Lynn Williams. Now we have Esther Gonzales, which is another amazing player. Like you said, champion, World Cup champion, amazing. I've been watching her this whole championship play, and I am very, very impressed. I mean, she's the top goal scorer in Real Madrid. Also, great performance with Spain. So we're bringing a top talent to Gotham. So pretty much Gotham is putting the NWSL and New York, New Jersey on the map globally in regards to soccer, and football. And, more players are going to look into coming into the NWSL or even Gotham. So this is amazing. I cannot wait to see her play at Red Bull Arena.
I just saw our next topic and I'm laughing inside. But Gotham is raising the bar here. They're getting a player from Real Madrid. It's obviously that is impressive. And she's in her prime. Gotham is starting to show that New Jersey, New York is a destination, and they are willing to go out and get players. Like, say what you want about Gotham. They have really gone to work building this roster. A ton of investment has put into this club to be a top table team, not just now, but for years to come. I'm super excited about it. All right. The topic is candy corn season is upon us.
Yes, that's right. And Gary was laughing because I snuck that in there right before we started recording so he wouldn't have time to see it before he scrolled down to that part of the page. I just have to say, I know it's only August 23rd, but tomorrow is August 24th. And, Starbucks pumpkin spice latte is coming back. And I got to say, I'm not a huge fan of the pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks specifically, but they are going to have an apple crisp. Shaken espresso. So I'm excited for that. And so all of this really means that it's candy corn season. So I will be bringing a bag to the next home game this weekend so we can all partake in candy corn merriment. And that is all I have to say.
I'll eat some. I mean, it's not my favorite candy, but if it's there, I'll eat it. It's okay.
That's right. I mean, my favorite candy is anything chocolate based. I love anything chocolate, but candy corn is just I think either Sam Lewis or Lynn Williams on one of the Snacks podcasts called it "fall in the palm of your hands," and I'm like, that's exactly what it is. So I'm ready.
It's true. All right, I'm ready for this next game against Racing. I'm glad to get back into Red Bull Arena. I can't wait. It's gonna be fun. You all ready?
Yes.
Ready.
Yes, can't wait.
Let's go.